the tanking topic was the topic of conversation at the All-Star game. I think the first question the commissioner got had to do with tanking. He's got a real problem because these teams are overt. They're blatant. And somebody brought this up because when I was growing up, there used to be a territorial draft where players who played at the University of Cincinnati would play for the Cincinnati Royals. Oscar Robertson played at Cincinnati, and therefore he went to the Cincinnati Royals. Bob Cousy played at Holy Cross. He went to the Boston Celtics. So you had a territorial draft, and somebody brought this up. Could we get rid of the draft as we know it and tanking and have a territorial draft? Well, let me pose this to you and why it would never work. Let's say A.J. DeBanza, who might be the number one player in the country, he plays at BYU. Well, then he would go to Utah. He'd play for the Utah Jazz. So what would stop the Utah Jazz from saying to BYU, we're going to give you as much money as you need for NIL to bring in the best players in the country because we will get them on the Utah Jazz? You could have a collective helping BYU, which would allow that player or players to then go to the Utah Jazz. So it wouldn't work because you would get professional teams who could then help finance college teams. So those players would then have to go to, the team that was in their city, the territorial draft. Yes, Marvin.
The Charlotte Hornets would benefit greatly from that.
Yeah.
Get all those guys from Duke and North Carolina.
Yeah. They'd get too many players. But, territorial draft, while, I guess it worked back in the 60s, but it can't work now. It's just too much money at stake for these teams, NIL, and then all of a sudden A.J. DeBanza is on the Utah Jazz just because he went to BYU. But people have proposed that. There's just so many. What if everybody's in the lottery? What if your picks aren't protected? Every team has the same odds. That's been brought up. What if, and this is something I brought up to the commissioner, and that is after your team is eliminated, the wins that you get by being competitive will help increase your odds in the lottery. Therefore, you're not shutting down Zach LaVine and Sabonis if you're Sacramento, or you would like for them to be able to play. But also understand this with these players. The players, they don't. You're going to be bringing in somebody who's going to take somebody's place on that team. And, getting everybody to have a common goal, that's challenging here. But there's so many different facets attached to this that I don't know if there is there a soft landing spot for this topic where everybody is going to be satisfied? And I don't think that's going to be the case. And, even if ratings go down, understand they're in the midst of a 10 or 11 year deal worth billions of dollars. These players, they don't care what's happening in 10 years from now or the ratings go down. Like, you got all this money there. The commissioner and the owners are the ones who have a problem here. The players are going to, hey, I'm going to play 55 games and maybe extend my career by 2 extra years and maybe make an extra $40 million. So I don't know if there's okay, that makes the most sense. I don't know if there's that moment. Yes, Todd.
And what if your team is really trying and they're just not good enough and you want to have parity, but this team that's actually not tanking, they just don't have a good enough roster, and now they have the equal chance of getting the top picks as the better teams? Then where does that leave you in terms of trying to make teams more equitable or have a chance in the next couple of years to win a title like the NFL tries to do?
Yeah. They're looking at lottery odds allocated based on 2-year records. Lottery extended to include play-in teams. Flatten the odds for all lottery teams. No longer allowing a team to pick in the top 4 in consecutive years. Teams can't pick in the top 4 the year after making the conference final. They're just throwing out as any and everything. Yes, Eaton.
It sounds a lot like how HBO determines the Hard Knocks team. Well, you have to do this, but you can't have done it in the last 4 years, but then you have to have a bad record. You have to have won this.
Yeah, it's a big problem. Big problem.